Hello everyone, and welcome to Hutch's Garage for the first episode on my 1954 International Harvester Farmall Super MTA tractor, restoration and rebuild. We will start off with a few photos and then onto some videos of the tractor. This is the earliest photo of the MTA showing my dad refilling the anhydrous ammonia applicator tank from the tank on the 1949 Chevrolet farm truck. A close-up of the same photo of the tractor and my dad. In this photo, I am on your right with my brother in front of the MTA tractor. About the year 1956. Yes, I am old. The next three photos show the tractor pulling our new, at the time, IHC McCormick number 80 combine. My dad is in the driver's seat while my granddad is checking out the operation of the combine around 1960. We will now move forward to the present time. We're going to start up the Super MTA 1954 International Harvester Super MTA. This is a 1954 International Harvester Super MTA. It's been fitted with a Balin power steering unit, and it plowed. It did basically the main farm work on our farm from 1954 until 1963 when they bought a 1963 706 gas tractor. After that time, it was relegated to blowing silage into the silos. That when they made silage, it used to cut silage and everything else, pick corn, pull the combine, basically do everything on the farm. Then mainly after that, it was a secondary tractor, and they used it to grind feed from the 60s until the early 1990s, when my dad sold the dairy cows and the hog operation and basically parked this tractor. When I got this tractor, it was in 2017. It had sat since 2005 at least. I don't know if it had been started in 2005 or not, before my dad passed away that year. Anyway, I drove it, I think in 2005 in the summer for a short bit, drove it back, and when I pulled it into the shed, I noticed that the rear tires were starting to balloon out. The rims had rusted out from the calcium in the rims. So in 2017, I got new rims and tires, new tires for the front, put them on. Tore the carburetor down, put on a new manifold gasket, actually a new manifold, and because it was cracked, started it up and took her home. And I've been playing with it ever since. I'm planning to restore it right now. It does burn oil, but it runs really very good. I've run it in 2 tractor drives that were a 3-day drive and then a 2-day drive this last year. I drove it over 120 miles this summer in a tractor drive, and it performed perfectly. Because of pulling the feed grinder for 30 plus years, it had worn the original drawbar out. The drawbar arms had broken and everything else, and I thought really to make this tractor a useful tractor, I ought to look for a fast hitch and have it be able to be a 3-point hitch. In other words, I use a 3-point system to pull like a blade behind it or whatever else I wanted to use. So this is off a 1962 560 Farmall. I've had to do a lot of work to it though. I've had to rebuild the cylinder. The shaft, when I got it, I discovered it was bent, and it's been used fairly well. It's pretty well worn, but it's still in fair enough shape that I can use it here. I'm starting a new project. This project will be restoring a 1954 Farmall Super MTA tractor. It's been burning oil, and therefore I definitely need to tear it down and probably replace. The rings are probably bad on it, and I plan to replace the pistons and sleeves on it, increasing the cubic inch size from a 264 cubic engine to a 281 cubic engine, which was in the 450 Farmall tractors. I've already drained the oil on it. What I did, I warmed the tractor up to operating temperature, brought it in here, shut it off, put 2 pints of kerosene into the oil, started it up again, ran it for about 8 minutes, and then shut it down. And while it was warm, I drained the oil out of the crankcase. Here I've moved a little bit. My granddad and dad purchased this tractor brand new in 1954. So it's still been the family since 1954 and passed down to me. They traded in a 1949 Farmall MD tractor. They must not have liked the diesel tractor, and so therefore they traded in for this particular Super MTA. The Farmall Super MTA was only built 1 year. It was the last of the M tractors built by Farmall or International Harvester. After 1954, during the late part of 1954, they discontinued building these tractors and started building the 400 tractor. The 400 is essentially the same tractor as this, engine, transmission, rear end, everything. and it came, or you could order a fast hitch for that particular tractor. It was the first introduction of the fast hitch on this particular style tractor. But the big differences between the 400 and the Super MTA is the sheet metal. They made the dash a little bit more automotive type. There is no dash on this other than gauges here and there and everywhere. And cleaned up the hydraulic piping system. The hoses on this tractor look like spaghetti, and that's the way it came from the factory. You had a live hydraulic pump mounted up there right off the timing gears from the camshaft, driving the ignition system, or the distributor, and they were rubber hoses. On the 450 or 400, they were steel lines connecting most things, and it had a better hydraulic operating handle system up just off to the right side of the dash. But other than that, from sheet metal down, it was essentially the same tractor. I mentioned that they traded in an MD tractor for this particular one. They never did have a diesel tractor until the 1970s, I think around 1976. They bought a 1086 tractor, and that was their first diesel since that 1945 MD. Let's now go behind the tractor, and I'll show you a couple things back there. We're back at the rear of the tractor. As you can see, I've removed the seat. I've also disconnected the battery and removed it. Therefore, I don't have any electrical power that could catch fire or do anything like that while I'm taking the tractor apart. What I want to show you next is the book I'm using to follow for the most part. This is the book. It's an International Harvester Blue Ribbon Service Manual for a C264 engine, which fits the Super MTA and the Super W6TA. C in front of the 264 stands for carbureted engine that burns gasoline, and 264 represents the cubic inch size of this particular engine. I'm following, this is a copy of the original book, and I'm following it and using a copy so I don't get the original book dirty. So it has, general specifications, all sorts of things in here. It gives you a teardown method. Has a cutaway drawing of the engine shown there. Talks about general description. It starts with removal of the engine from the tractor. And what I'm going to do is follow a method very similar to the book. I'm limited on lifting areas, and what it is, I have a chain hoist on a monorail, and it is 90 degrees to the front to rear of the tractor, so therefore I can only lift things and move them side to side. And that's kind of what's going on in this particular picture. So what you do, you grab a hold of the engine with the hoist, take the weight off the, basically lifting the engine up so there's very little lift on the transmission, and you use a device like this bolted to the tractor with a caster underneath it, and you roll the tractor transmission and rear end on its rear wheels and on this caster and move it backwards. So that's similar how I'm going to do it. I've got another device to lift the front bolster and front wheels off as I go. Like I say, this gives all sorts of things in here, what to look for and precautions, that sort of thing. Where to clean the oil galleries out at, the plugs that hold the oil in, and where you stick cleaning brushes through to clean it. So I'm just kind of generally showing this book. I plan to, like I said before, put new sleeves and pistons in it, increasing the bore size so it's the same size as a 450 Farmall tractor. This page shows you the alignment of the punch marks for keeping the gears in time, proper time. So we'll go on to the next part of this project. That's all the time we have for in this episode. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Please continue to join me for the next episode as I restore and rebuild this 1954 International Harvester Farmall Super MTA tractor.